All right,
It's
boys,
going to
let's
be a
move
busy
on
season.
to the next segment, and we're going to talk about who makes the next jump to the NBA. And you can look at a few different aspects here. You can think about, okay, who is a player that could be drafted in 2026, or you could look at a player who maybe could secure a 10-day contract or could potentially secure a full time contract from Australia, from the NBL. Josh, I want to go to you first, and I want to hear kind of your thoughts around, first and foremost, what role does the NBL play in kind of feeding players to the NBA? Then once you've spoken about that, then give us your tip at who could make it there.
Yeah, well, I think the NBL has just become such a great feeder league for the NBA over the last couple of seasons. And I think what the most important thing when we separate the NBL from other competitions around the world is purely based on the game style and playing against grown men. You know, you go to other leagues potentially and you're not playing against these high caliber players like we are seeing in the NBL, whether it's ex NBA players, guys who are still looking to head back into the NBA, maybe coming off of two ways or summer league appearances. There's so many players in the NBL who have had that NBA experience throughout their entire career. So I think what you're getting is NBA ready players first and foremost. You know, we might not be the top draft players in the NBA. You know, you look at the most recent draft: Alex Tui, Lachlan Aldridge, Rocco Zakarsky. They're probably not names that jump off the page for you, but they're all going to be very solid role players in the NBA when they do have that time to develop as well. So, you know, I think we're starting to see the NBL as a genuine feeder league, and you know, it really started with the NBL Next Star program, and you know, the league as a whole now has just continued to grow. And when I look at it, this is where I take this one, and I'm a little bit biased because this is my boy, and I'll be backing him to the hill this year. And I think we had a segment last year, and we sort of talked about. I think it was after Taron Armstrong got offered his two-way deal, or you know, that back end season deal, and we're like, oh, who's the next player who's going to make the leap? And I'm still set this guy will make the leap to the NBA at some point, and that's Sam Waardenburg. Now he's coming off an incredible season for Puerto Rico. In Puerto Rico, I should say, there where he made the all Puerto Rican BSN first team. Now let me just read some of the names that he made that team with: JaVale McGee, who we're going to be seeing for the Illawarra Hawks this season; Danilo Gallinari, who ended up, I believe, winning the MVP over in Puerto Rico, has had an extended career in the NBA; Chris Duarte, who's also spent some time in the NBA; and Emmanuel Mudiay, who's also spent a bit of time in the NBA. So four NBA players made the all BSN first team with Sam Waardenburg. And he didn't just go over there and participate. 17.7 points per game, 7.3 rebounds, 2.4 assists, and shot 63% from the field. So super, super
Wow.
efficient. Now, he's going to be coming over and back to Cairns with Jack McVeigh in the team. Obviously, Ashton Hagans, Admiral Schofield, Rain Smith, Marcus Lee, a really deep team. And the most exciting thing is we spoke about Vrenz earlier. I think Sam Waardenburg kind of fits into the same mold. Could probably play the 3 to the 5. I'm not sure about the 1 and the 2, but 3 to 5 is incredible versatility, especially in the NBA as well. He can ball handle, he can get himself to the basket, get himself to the free throw line as well. Decent mid range shooter, and obviously a great 3 point shooter as well. So I think he's going to have that NBA attention really, really quickly, especially with obviously Jack McVeigh there. And I think he's a guy who's all but set to make an NBA team over the next couple of years.
Jez, you got any reflections on Sammy, or we should go over to your one?
No, I just completely agree. I think definitely, yeah, we talked about him a lot last year. He's like just one of the players that we saw really develop massively last season and just get better and better and better and better. And now look what like those numbers are absolutely incredible. And it's going to be great to see the role that he plays there. And obviously, you know, with a shooting percentage like that, he's playing big, he's close to the basket. It's going to be awesome to see. I really, give him sort of the best wishes you possibly can, because I think he's definitely a talent and needs to get amongst that NBA action soon.
And Jez, you are going across the ditch for your player.
Mm. Yeah, like a bit of a cop out, I guess, taking a player that is going to get drafted. But like, I'm just so excited to see Karim Lopez and what he can actually do and how high, like he's sort of projected now in the draft for next year to go, depending on which list you look, but like say 5 or 6. So I'm, super excited to see if he can even push a little bit higher and get even a little bit closer, because like we saw from last year, come in and, had a fairly quiet start and just sort of got better. He had a patch there in NBL 25 where like he was just dominating and his stats were just incredible. And it was when he sort of got to play a bigger role and got more responsibility. And it felt like he thrived in that. And now it feels like he's going to play a pretty important role for New Zealand this year. And the incredible thing is, last year he was 17 years old. And like Josh said, playing with the big boys in the NBL, playing with men and averaging 9.6 points, 4.7 rebounds, 1.2 assists, and shooting at 45% from the field and 30% from three. Like, he was 17. So it's going to be interesting to see now that he's like, playing a bigger role, what sort of numbers he can put up. And obviously this year for him is probably one of the most important years of his life. And you just sort of hope over in New Zealand that they're feeding him a hungy every day, because put on a little bit of size and a little bit of Kiwi bulk, and the sky's the limit for Karim Lopez.
It definitely is. Quickly on as well, Ryan, on Karim. I think, you're bang on. Like, it's such a tough one because he could be a top 2 pick. Like, this draft class is a decent draft class as well. The top 10 is quite strong compared to what we've seen in recent years as well. And, the 17-year-old factor can't just be blown over. He came over to this league and averaged nearly 10 points per game. I don't really remember that many young players averaging close to that. And now this year, the Breakers have an incredible team around Karim. And I think they've not built the team around him. It's been built around Parker Jackson-Cartwright, but I think it's been built with him in mind as that starting 3. With obviously Parker Jackson-Cartwright, Isaiah Brockington, Rob Baker, and Sam Menenga as probably the starting lineup. So he's going to get every chance to succeed. And if he goes out and averages 13, 14 points per game, like, we're looking at a guy who's probably going to be a top 2 or 3 pick in the NBA draft. So, a really great pick there by Jez. And, obviously massive shout out as well to Dash Daniels, who's the other major next star who looks like he's going to, be picked up quite highly in the NBA draft as well.
Yeah, it's so exciting to see the guys. Like I said at the start of this segment, you have both ends of the spectrum. You have guys that are going to be drafted, they're going to go high, like Karim. You just see the way that he plays and the potential that he has in the game. And then the older guys that maybe have been there, have been in the G League or been around and have that little window of opportunity available to them. And all of a sudden, just the excitement around that factor of the game becomes so large. Josh.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I put a tweet out a few days ago and it had a pretty good reaction out there on X as well. And it was just about like the caliber of the NBL right now. And I think the NBL got to a point probably 5 or 6 years ago where it started to attract that younger import market where like we're looking at 25, 26-year-old guys instead of 29 and 30-year-old guys. And, they're probably 5 years ago, it was more, okay, we've got the guys who have 100% given up on the NBA pathway. They've had their chance and that's it. But now we're getting the guys coming through, Kendric Davis, Ashton Hagans is going to have an incredible year. Bryce Hamilton for the Tasmania Jack Jumpers. These guys who have been on 2-way deals, summer league opportunities, and are now looking to have that next step to the NBA as well. So, the NBL as a whole, I know this is going to go down as probably the greatest off season of all time. It's probably going to happen and go again next off season when we continue to build these really, really high caliber players as well with NBA experiences and aspirations as well.
Just a quick question, Josh. Obviously, Kendric Davis, like we've said, The talk is that he wants to. That's his goal. Does he make it to the NBA?
I think he does. Like I think he's got all the pieces, and the only thing that will hold him back will be, his leadership and sort of the personality flaws that some people have spoken about. But like I said, I think if that's all in check, you don't just walk into the NBL and average 25 and 8. We don't see that from first year imports ever. And, he was an MVP runner-up only behind Bryce Cotton. Now, if Bryce wasn't in the league, Kendric would have walked through with an MVP trophy last year as well. So, I 100% think that he'll make it to the NBA at some point. I reckon it'll be next season. I think this will be the last season we see from Kendric Davis in the NBL.
Do you have a team that you think might suit his playing style?
Oh, it's an interesting one because when I look at it, I instantly get drawn to Golden State. and I know he was there obviously in that G League program, but a guy who can facilitate and also score when required, to be able to bring some sort of presence off the bench. And I think obviously where people get their expectations is, I think some people go, okay, he's a superstar in the NBL, he's going to be a superstar in the NBA or pretty good, but he's still going to be a role player. He's going to be a six man for some team as well. So I don't know, like I wouldn't mind him even at the Spurs, a team with strong culture as well. So he could come in and sort of come in off the bench and sort of facilitate with a Wemby and obviously, work well with some of these younger guards as well. So yeah, I think he'll end up on an NBA roster, bud, and it's going to be interesting to see which one.
All right, boys, let's take a quick break, come back and have some NBL 26 predictions.